Well, if I can get through some technical difficulties this afternoon, maybe things will go a little smoother. But I've been busy. Got a great montage of the attacks that are happening as we speak. Iran is being bombarded. So, you guys back in the day remember bomb Iran? Like I was a teenager or even younger than that when all that was happening. But we've got a bunch of breaking news coming out. I compiled, which I've spent a couple of hours doing show prep. Started last night and then got up with all intentions of going over Islam history and all kinds of interesting facts and stuff like that, and whatever today's events were going to be. And obviously that we're at war. We've been bombing them. Saudi Arabia has joined in the fight. I've got some in the stack of stuff. Britain has jumped in. The UK has jumped in, said they're sending over fighter planes. I'm like, wow. I mean, because they look like they're being taken over by the Muslims right over there. And I was kind of shocked, right? These guys said, yeah, we're coming into hell. So, and the last word I heard is the Ayatollah Khomeini has been killed. Now, it said it was the last I checked, because I just the information's just coming in so quick, guys, and I've got to get this video out. But they're saying, yeah, that his palace or whatever he's calling it has been crushed and that he's killed. That's the latest I've heard. But I just want to thank the latest subscriber to the Rochelle Emerson channel. You are 426th subscriber, and it is Emma Be Good. She commented on Trump sets trap and it's checkmate. The left excessive compassion is self-destruction. And I thank you so much, Emma, for your support. One of her comments is, if they had only stood the whole night, they could have just said we were not participating. But the fact that they stood for insider trading thing, but their actions have shown that this is how they feel for a while now. Those who don't see it perhaps suffer from ostrich parasite syndrome. Love it, love it, love it. So that means you watch the video. And every day is a learning experience, which every day certainly is a learning experience for me. And I started diving into some research last night on Islam and this kind of stuff and getting different points of view. Because I don't think a lot of people understand how detrimental Islam is. Wherever they've gone, they have destroyed the society and made it garbage, made it crap. Look at the continent of Africa. It is garbage. It is terrible. There's no infrastructure. There's no, I mean, it's just everywhere they've gone, they have just brought destruction and misery to women, to children. They can't seem to take care of infrastructure or anything. Look at Somalia. They all practice Islam. So I wanted to get in a deep dive today on that. I got a fantastic montage that I worked on this afternoon. I came up earlier this morning, started my coffee, started getting my research on my Islam history, and then boom, all of this stuff is happening. So at some point I had to stop getting footage because I'm like, I got to get my video out. So Emma, Be Good. Thank you for your support. Continue to like and share and subscribe. Every milestone counts. And we are all in the pursuit of truth. And that Christ is the way and the only way. And we need to spread the word and stomp out Islam. And America comes first before illegals. And thank you so much for your support. I do very much appreciate it. All right, let's get started. I need to start this video here up top for you and let it play out. It's a montage of the devastation and destruction. So far now, from my notes, we got Saudi Arabia has joined in. I believe the UK has joined in. Israel's in. We're in. It's like the whole Middle East or the world is at war. Bombarding Iran to overstrike the regime. And I guess right now, I just saw before I started videotaping, because, oh God, the information is just coming out so fast, They're already mobilizing a protest against this. Who? Who? You know, the left just strikes me as, yeah, they are crazy. They are crazy. So the people of Iran were overtaken, back in 73, 74 by the Ayatollah, and then they've been oppressed ever since, right? Because some of them are Muslim, but they don't enforce all these stupid rules that Islam has. They want to be a free society. They were more like I don't know if I want to say capitalist, but you get the idea. They were a free society. They weren't oppressive to women. Women didn't have to walk around with burqas on, and they could have an education. And then here, again, I'm pointing out, wherever Islam goes, it's destructive. It's destructive. So now, boom, here we go. They're overtaking them. They want their country back. They've wanted their country back since the mid-1970s, and now it's happening. But then you get to my point. So the left, aren't they all for the little guy and supposedly, but we know it's all a facade and it's all BS. But so wouldn't you think they would root for the oppressed people? Nope. They're rooting for the Ayatollah. Yeah, we're going to see that play out. We'll see how, I couldn't wait. Like I said, I had to get the video out, but I saw a little bit of footage of them, people filming in New York that they're mobilizing to start protesting this. It's ridiculous. But before we jump into all of that, well, I guess we got a lot of stuff to go over. Guys, there's a blood moon coming. There's a blood moon coming, and we got 2 days before the blood moon hits. So let's see how this affects people's consciousness of awareness. Or is there any significant things that have happened when we get the blood red moon? Let's see how this goes. I know y'all are anxious to get into the blood red moon and all the connections it has with that, and some history on Islam and how retarded they are. So we do have some breaking. It says the son-in-law and daughter-in-law of the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei were killed in today's strikes per Tehran City Council meeting. The Khamenei compound was leveled by U.S. and Israeli forces. It's saying we've still not heard anything of the Ayatollah's condition, so we're still looking at that. Let's see, we have breaking. The Iranian commander identifies as Sadr Hajabi, I don't know how to say his name, is claiming that missiles launched today were from older stockpiles, warning that more advanced weapons will be unveiled soon. Now, this was posted 6 hours ago. Say Trump should know that today we fired the old stockpile missiles, and soon, what? And soon we'll unveil weapons that you have never seen before. If authentic, this is strategic messaging designed to project deterrence and escalation compatibility. Signaling that Iran believes it retains significant military reserves despite ongoing strikes. Whether it's rhetoric or reality, implications is clear. Tehran is warning that the current phase may only be the beginning. I don't know, man. You got Iran, Saudi Arabia, not Iran, I'm sorry. Saudi Arabia, the UK, a number of other countries I haven't even named that has joined in to fight this one country, and America, and Israel. Dude, they don't stand a chance, my guy. Another update, Iran has officially shut down the Strait of Hormuz, through which about 20% of the world's oil passes. And that this was posted 3 hours ago, which, guys, let's see, what is it, 3:12 p.m. here. I'm probably going to be another hour or so before this gets loaded, so by the time y'all see this will be like about 5 hours old, but you can go get some updates after that. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced that all ships navigating through the Strait of Hormuz are forbidden. Major producers like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE ship crude oil through these narrow passages. So this was an hour ago, again. So by the time I get this posted, this news will be about 2 hours old. There are no American casualties so far on the strikes with Iran, according to Fox News. The U.S. military says no American casualties, minimal damage so far. And after hundreds of Iranian missiles and drone attacks, this thing military may be something that's lasts only a couple of days. Yeah, I think with our military might, and we're with Israel. Israel's has got an awesome military force. It's incredible. And look at these retards up in your left-hand corner setting the flag on fire and hollering death to America. I mean, this is unreal. This is unreal. Unbelievable. Here we go. This is the clip. And this clip was an hour ago. Again, I'm just telling y'all this because the news is going to go by so fast. So fast. It's incredible. It's incredible. Communists in New York are already bringing signs for a massive pro-Iranian regime protest. This is who is coordinating these protests? This is insane. And look at this. They've got pre-made signs. This is retarded. This is not going to go over well. And I know not with me, and I know not with my subscribers, because this is retarded. This is definitely retarded. These people in Iran, they want their independence, just like they've got the right to go and protest. Those people in Iran went to protest, and they were going to be killed. They were going to be hung for protesting. These people are the hypocrites. Just hypocrites. It drives me crazy. It really, truly does. Maybe I'll keep y'all on for a second because I did put all these in this stack of stuff in my bookmark. Oh, my God. This is what I wanted to show y'all, too. PMS Now, hosted Rachel Maddow, doesn't deny the Iranian people deserve the right to be free of oppression from the tyrannical regime. Instead, criticizes how Trump is doing it. And didn't we cover this yesterday in the video where we're like, we're for what you're doing, but we just don't like how you're doing it. How is he supposed to do it? You geniuses. She then virtually repeats herself. Liberals are trying so hard to find something to complain about while they know this is what needs to happen. It is unbelievable. Again, what was it? Was it Gadsad that said if it might have been him? You can let me know if I'm wrong, but it sounds like something he would say if Trump had the cure for cancer. Libs would find a way to be negative about it. It's insanity. I tell you what, it's insanity. Let's see. This is some of the videos I have. Okay, so I think we're caught up on what I have so far is the breaking news, but no definite yet. He probably is dead. I don't know. Unless he went into an underground bunker, the Ayatollah Khamenei. So I don't know, man. They're going to wipe them out. This guy, Afghanistan Zoa Strange, is that how you say his name? He says, name a single country where Muslims coexist peacefully with other faiths. And what is my guy, David Wood? Y'all need to check him out at Apologetic Roadshow. He says Fantasyland. He said Fantasyland. I love David. I do, man. I admire him so much. He's amazing. Real quick, I need to read this. Taliban leader Abdul Hamid Qassani says that Israel and Iran are one coin and called upon Muslims worldwide to stay vigilant and not support the infidel regime of Iran. I do have an update. Ayatollah Khamenei, the brutal long-term supreme leader of Iran, has been killed during Trump's operation in Iran, per multiple reports. Israel officials tell the Times of Israel that Khamenei's body was found in the rubble, and Netanyahu has been seeing videos of the body per Into News, awaiting confirmation from the U.S. government. They're saying he's dead, y'all, and this was posted 32 minutes ago. There was something I saw, and I can't find it in my stack of stuff. Good Lord. I mean, I've got so much stack of stuff, guys. It's just insane. It's insane that my show prep for y'all today was just really intense. Look at it. Look at it. To any future historians reading this era will make a lot more sense if you remember that every name is the opposite of what really it is. This is amazing. This is why I had to post this. It's just a paragraph. The anti-fascists are fascists. Oh man, I just cracked up laughing watching this. The anti-racists are racist. The fact checkers are propagandists. Hopefully this has been fixed by your time. So, yeah, I mean, everything that they are, they accuse the right, conservative, Christians, as we're hypocrites, we're fascists, we're Islamophobics, we're everything that they are. We're everything that they are. They hate and despise us. They can't hate us enough. You know this, right? I know I got that video playing, but I guess I'm just going to let it keep going, and then I'm going to just eliminate, and we'll move on to the next thing. And what did I have? Do y'all remember when Valentin Gomez was on Piers Morgan? I watched it, and I loved it. And ever since then, I really started disliking Piers Morgan like bad. Because I didn't like the way he talked to her. I didn't like the way he was treating her. In fact, he said he would never have her on his show again unless she won the Congress seat. And if she does, she shouldn't even give him the satisfaction. She says Iran is the perfect example of why you don't let Muslims take over your nation. Muslims only contributes to grape, statistics, and terrorist attacks. Drop bombs, not American troops on the ground. Now I don't know when she posted this, but I just thought it was great that, in fact, I want you to hear what she said because it was fantastic.
Pierce, let me finish what I said. These Muslims are not here to assimilate to the American or the British way of life.
Actually, many Muslims assimilate perfectly well.
They only contribute to rape statistics and terrorist attacks.
Really?
Yeah. And I can't... It's just like when Gadsab was being interviewed by Piers Morgan. I just called him Paris. Whatever. I should call him Piers Moron. Gad was like, but he's such an intellectual, funny guy, and he has patience beyond measure. And that the look on his face, like he gave like 3 examples of why Islam is bad. Why we need to, basically, he didn't really say why Islam's bad. Basically, Gad is saying the trajectory of what is happening now and what's going to happen in the future. I mean, yeah, he compared it to diseases, a parasite. I mean, it was excellent analogy. It really was. So, boom, we're just zipping through stack of stuff. I liked what this guy said, so I brought it in. Let's see if we can just zip through this. This is going to be a long show, guys, so either you can get you some popcorn and watch it, or watch half of it and watch the rest later. But I just want to make sure I cover all this today, because Sundays I don't do shows on Sundays. So we're going to get all of this in today. Iran attack, PSA. You're about to be bombarded with Democrat members of Congress and the media calling the attack on Iran illegal. Get ready, people. And unconstitutional, while claiming the president is required to obtain the approval of Congress prior to launching military attacks on foreign targets. These people would be collectively engaging in a lie by omission, as they are all aware that the war powers resolutions allows for the president to authorize attacks without pre-approval or notification of Congress, with the requirement of brief Congress within 48 hours and obtain their official authorization to continue attacks beyond 60 days. They will all assume we are as ignorant as the truth as they are pretending to be. Feel free to copy this attachment and send to anyone spouting the illegal, unconstitutional nonsense And I'll leave it there, and you guys can, if y'all can see that. It is a little hard to see on this other screen. I have to look over here. It's just saying on Article 2, Section 2, while Congress holds the power to declare war, Article 1, Section 8, however, the specific requirements for notifying Congress about military action stem from the War Powers Resolution of 1973, a federal law enact to balance these powers and ensure congressional oversight. He has the power to do this. Y'all just saw. He just has to let them know or whatever in a few hours. But a lot of the Congress is for him. So, guys, get out at the midterms. We can't let them in power again. They've already told us what they're going to do. Like Susan Rice said last week, when we get in power, we're going to make you all pay. We're going to make you feel the pain because you sided with Trump. It's insanity. It's just insanity. I'm not pausing it. I'm going to just keep going so we can get the flow here. This is Benjamin Netanyahu. He did post this earlier. It has been translated. I'm not going to show the original. My brothers and sisters, citizens of Israel, just an hour ago, Israel and the United States embarked on an operation to remove the existential threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran. I thank our great friend, President Donald Trump, for his historic leadership. For 47 years, the Ayatollah's regime has chanted death to Israel, death to America. It has spilled our blood, murdered many Americans, and massacred its own people. This murderous terrorist regime must not be allowed to arm itself with nuclear weapons that would enable it to threaten all of humanity. Our joint operation will create the conditions for the brave Iranian people to take their fate into their own hands. The time has come for all parts of the Iranian people, the Persians, the Kurds, the Arzus, the Balaks, Oswitzes, and if I'm pronouncing these wrong, forgive me, to cast off their yoke of tyranny and bring freedom and peace-loving values to Iran. I call on you, citizens of Israel, to heed the instructions of the Home Front Command in the coming days during Operation Lion's Roar. I love that name. We will all be called upon to show patience and strength to spirit. Together we will stand, together we will fight, and together we will ensure the eternity of Israel. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's over 6 million views when that was posted. Okay, here we go. All right, so I think before we get into Richard Dawkins, and you're like, why are you pulling up an atheist, Rochelle? Well, he's got some interesting views on Islam. So I've got some stuff from Richard Dawkins, I've got stuff from Sam Harrison, and I got stuff from Christopher Hitchison. All three of these men are highly intelligent, very, very, very intelligent, just extraordinary. You know, I was talking to my brother-in-law a couple of months ago, and sometimes I get in a mood where I'll go watch some old debates or interviews with Christopher Hitchens, and I just admire him. I know he's an atheist, but he is just so smart on an intellectual level. It's just incredible, and it's sad that he wasn't a Christian. Now, whether he gave his life to Christ in his last breathing moments, I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. But I was talking to my brother-in-law about it, and he's like, well, he wasn't that intelligent now, was he? Because he didn't believe Jesus Christ was the Savior, the light, and the way. And I looked at him, and I said, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. I mean, that was his flaw on his view on Christianity. But he has an interesting view that we're going to get into where all three of them, Dawkins, Harris, Hitchison, their views between Islam and Christianity, which is very interesting because we all know, you probably can all guess which civilization would you want to live with? What has Christianity done for the world? It's made the world what it is today. Christians. Innovation. The Christian whites did this. It's just fact. It is just fact. Now, I think before we get into that, we are going to talk about the blood moon because that'll bring us into the rest of the stuff. Man, we're already 25 minutes in. Okay, so, yeah, the blood moon, it's like we got 2 days, guys. Got 2 days. A blood moon refers to the reddish or coppery appearance of the moon during a total lunar eclipse caused by sunlight filtering through Earth's atmosphere and scattering blue light while allowing red wavelengths to reach the lunar surface. This phenomenon occurs when Earth aligns directly between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow over the moon. So we have an upcoming blood moon. It's saying the next, it's easier for me to read over here because it's brighter and it's bigger than what's on my screen. Hopefully I had it on the screen big enough for y'all to see as well. I just don't know until I upload the video. The next blood moon is a total lunar eclipse occurring on March 2nd and 3rd, 2026. Depending on your time zone, totality when the moon will appear deep red, lasting about 58 minutes and is visible from much of North America. So that we might be able to see it, guys. Best in the western regions. I'm in Tennessee. During early morning hours on March 3rd, Asia, Australia, the Pacific, and parts of South Africa. In the U.S. Eastern Time Zone, the partial eclipse begins around 3:12 a.m. Eastern. Totality, if I'm even saying that right, from 4:44 a.m. To 5:52 a.m. Eastern and ends by 7:30 a.m. Eastern. No special equipment is needed to view it safely. Unlike solar eclipse, that will be the last total lunar eclipse until December 31st, 2028. And there it is right there. And we're going to go over frequently blood moons. Blood moons are a total lunar eclipse, are relatively uncommon compared to partial or penumbral lunar eclipses. Approximately 29% of all lunar eclipses are total. On average, Earth experiences about 2 lunar eclipses per year, including partial ones, but a total one occurs roughly every 1 to 2 years globally. From any specific location, you might see a blood moon about once every 2.5 years, as visibly depends on your position on the night side of the Earth. Overall, there are 4 to 7 eclipses, solar or lunar combined annually, but lunar eclipses happen during full moon phases when orbital alignments allow. Rare sequences like lunar tetrads, 4 consecutive total eclipses spaced 6 months apart, occur about 8 times per century. Let's see. Now, I asked it about historical events. I don't know if y'all, who was that pastor that came out a few years ago and saying all about the blood moon and all of this stuff happened in Israel and the great wars and they won this war, and y'all know what I'm talking about? I didn't look him up. Hagee. I think it was Hagee that was saying all that. He had a whole series on it. The blood moon series. Historical events coinciding with blood moon. Throughout history, blood moons have often been interpreted as omens, leading to assassinations with significant events. Though these are typically coincidental or influenced by superstition rather than causation. Here are. Let me get my thing in place. It's acting up on me. Sorry about that. Here are some notable examples. August 27th, 413 BC. Look at this. Lunar eclipse during the Peloponnesian War. Athenian commander Nikos delayed a retreat from Syracuse due to a lunar eclipse seen as a bad omen. This hesitation allowed Syracusians forced to attack, contributing to Athens' defeat and weakened their Mediterranean power. Whoa. The Syracusians, January 10th, 1 BC, eclipse linked to Herod's death. A total lunar eclipse occurred shortly before the death of King Herod the Great. As noted by historian Flavius Josephus, this has been used to date events like the birth of Christ, which likely preceded Herod's passing. Wow. May 22nd, 1453, partial lunar eclipse during the fall of Constantinople. A blood moon-like eclipse was observed during the Ottoman siege, fulfilling prophecies in Byzantine lore about the city's doom. The city fell to the Ottomans shortly after, ending the Byzantine Empire. February 29th, 1504, lunar eclipse, and Christopher Columbus stranded in Jamaica. Columbus used knowledge of upcoming eclipses to convince local indigenous people that the gods were angry, prompting them to provide food and aid to his crew. So he used his smarts to get some food. In various cultures, blood moons were seen as portents. Ancient Mesopotamians viewed them as omens of king's death, while Incas believed a jaguar was attacking the moon and performed rituals to scare it away. Is that why they had the jaguar and he was called Paul in, oh my gosh, what was, oh, I need to, is that video not playing? What is happening? There we go. The Mel Gibson movie. Good God, I'm having a brain fart. Let's move on. It'll come to me. Where they was like in Inca times, and at the end of the movie, Columbus showed up. I'm having a brain fart on that movie. But anyway, they had a jaguar, Black Panther running through the jungle and attacked those other guys. Mesopotamia views his keys, but modern interpretations sometimes linked him to prophecies, but scientifically they're predictable astronomical events. Wow. So what'd y'all think about that? What'd you think about that? Here's Dawkins saying he's not Islamophobic. Islamophobic. With so much to fear of, is this still an irrelevant phenomena? I don't know. Maybe we are all Islam fearful.
I am not Islamophobic. I'm certainly not Muslimophobic. Indeed, I regard Muslims as Islam's main victims, badly in need of defense against their own religion. If we temporarily redefine phobic, not as irrational fear, but as rational detestation, then I am phobic about the following: throwing gay people off tall buildings or crushing them under a collapsed wall, or publicly caning them. Note the laughing glee of the audience, including children, in the video that I've accompanied to this. Whipping women for the crime of being raped, or the crime of being seen in public with a man to whom they are not married. Stoning women accused of adultery to death. Female genital mutilation.
God.
Compelling women to cover their hair and faces, leaving only a slit for the eyes. Compelling girls to stay indoors while boys roam free. Schools in which boys are taught nothing except memorizing the Quran, and girls even less. Condemning novelists to death for the crime of doing what novelists do, writing a novel. Killing cartoonists for the crime of doing what cartoonists do, drawing a cartoon. Death penalty for apostasy. A religion so bereft of positive arguments that it needs to resort to death threats to keep its members is ignominiously pathetic. Even Christianity no longer stoops so humiliatingly low. Honor killing. You can probably continue the list yourself. If all or even any of that list could be laid at the door of any religion, then a profound dislike of that religion could be defended. It certainly is not the case that most individual Muslims would endorse the list, although it has to be admitted that more than a quarter of British Muslims wanted Salman Rushdie to be killed, and nearly 2/3 thought the satanic verses should be burned. It's often pointed out that Christianity used to be just as bad, and it still is just as irrational. But the worst excesses of Christianity now thankfully lie in the past, If only the same could be said of Islam.
Yeah.
What is especially galling is those Western liberals who think Islam is a race and are so terrified of being thought racist that they refrain from criticizing the above horrors, even those perpetrated against women and gays. Islamophobia is a deeply silly and pernicious abuse of language, and is not the only fashionable word ending in phobia that condemns itself as a last resort substitute for rational discussion. In all such cases, I recommend the Hitchens riposte. I'm still waiting to hear your argument.
Wow. That was fantastic. I mean, no other religion is like that. No other religion is like that. So the comment section on this video is, this person writes, Muslims would never choose Islam had they been brainwashed since the moment of birth, which I agree. I mean, who would choose this religion? Some people are, though, by the way, guys. Some people are. Some people are just mindless sheep, just let off the cliff. It's insane. And you're going to start teaching this kid to memorize Islam, to memorize the Quran. I mean, if they had knowledge of other things, too, wouldn't they start seeing, like, this thing is contradicting itself? So then you have an imam or the dawah guys explaining to them why this is this way. This is child abuse and terrorism at global scale. Islam is not a choice. It is an abuse that gets started from the moment a child is born. Most importantly, pedo. Pat Goodell tells Muslims to shove their Islamophobia, jihad, and Sharia. He will not convert. He will not submit. He will not pretend to respect a doctrine that demands obedience through fear. And I saw this last night, and I'm like, oh, man. So, actually, I saw Dawkins first, and then this popped up. I'm like, oh, my God. So, I built my whole show around Dawkins and this guy and Christensen. And then, boom, we have all this war happening on the other side of the planet. And I'm like, oh, Lord, tell me and guide me on what I need to do. So, I'm trying to get the word out, trying to spread what Islam is, right? And the alternative, the only answer is Christ. That's the only answer.
I'm always amused when people accuse me of being anti-Islam, as if it's a bad thing, and as if I've been trying to hide it and they've somehow caught me out. Aha, I see what you are now. You're just anti-Islam. Yes, well spotted, Sherlock. Indeed I am. Just like every other sane person on earth. Why am I anti-Islam? Well, for the simple reason that Islam is anti-me, and it's anti-every fundamental value I hold.
Yes.
If I were to accommodate its values in my life, I would have to violate everything that I believe in.
Oh.
I think that's an unreasonable demand, and as such, it is, of course, typically Islamic. In general, Islam to be pro-about. The entire religion is built on a foundation of prejudice, injustice, and inhumanity, and I'm anti all of those. People say, well, you only focus on the bad things about Islam. And yes, I have to admit that if you ignore the bad things, the aggressive separatism, supremacism, and social intolerance, the relentless special pleading and phony grievance mongering, the psychopathic level of misogyny, the honour killing and genital mutilation, sanctioned by the Prophet incidentally, the rabid gay and Jew hatred, the intimidation and censorship, and the constantly present threat of violence over social issues, well, there isn't much wrong with Islam. It's perfectly kosher, if you'll pardon the expression.
Wow.
The trouble is, when you take these things away, there's nothing left. There is no Islam anymore because it is defined by these things, and we can see the evidence of this with our own eyes. We can see that wherever this religion goes in the world, it brings with it guaranteed intolerance, conflict, and social division. And if it gets the upper hand, persecution, and ultimately monstrous cruelty, and people always become less free, especially the female ones.
Yes.
Because I hold these opinions, I'm often falsely accused of hating Muslims, when in fact many of the Muslims I've met in my life I've liked as individuals. I just don't like anything about their religion because there's nothing about it to like. It's an absolutely outrageous ideology. If you made it up from scratch today, you'd be locked up for your own good. It brings out the very worst in humanity, and it gives power and authority to violent, sadistic savages. It has brought nothing positive to the West for the simple reason that it has nothing positive to bring. Its influence on this earth has been overwhelmingly negative, and we would all be better off without it, including Muslims, especially the female ones. Any ideology that preaches death to anyone deserves no accommodation at all in a civilized society, and no respect at all. It doesn't even deserve the pretense of respect. Death to apostates, death to blasphemers, death to adulterers, death to homosexuals, death, mutilation, and death, as preached in the mosques, for it is written. And this is the problem. It is written. Any religious scripture can be a dangerous weapon in the wrong hands. That'll be human hands. And Islamic scripture is particularly dangerous because it's particularly inflammatory and violent. Hatred of non-Muslims runs through it like a watermark. Read it for yourself and see. Anyone choosing to follow this scripture can take explicit license to be intolerant and violent and to feel virtuous about it. And it really doesn't help that so many Muslims on this earth take their scripture far more seriously than any sane person should. In some parts of the world, if you so much as look at the Quran the wrong way, you're liable to be lynched on the spot.
Oh.
Hello again, Pakistan. The idea that this is just another religion and that all religions are equally bad is not only laughable, it's actually offensive. And it's insulting to the many victims of Islam, and I don't mean historically, but here and now. Right now, on this earth, people are being persecuted and murdered every day by Muslims, and here's the important bit, for purely religious reasons. That is pure evil. And where do you think it comes from? Do not be friends with unbelievers. The vilest of animals are unbelievers. Kill unbelievers wherever you find them, and on and on and on it goes. Yet anyone who finds any of this offensive, well, apparently they have a phobia. That's right, they've got something wrong with them. So yes, I'm very much anti-Islam, as you can see. In so many ways, I really haven't got time to list them all here. But I'm especially anti-child marriage. Are you anti-child marriage? Of course you are. I wish Islam was anti-child marriage, but it isn't. So I'm anti-Islam, and I've been given no choice in the matter because child marriage is inexcusable. And while we're on the subject, putting an Islamic headscarf on a little girl is also inexcusable. In doing so, you sexualize that child because the headscarf is all about men and rape. You're telling her that female hair drives Muslim men insane. It doesn't bother other men, curiously, just the Muslim ones. And since Muslim men must never be held to account for anything they do to a woman or to a girl, because Allah wouldn't like it, if they see her hair, they might rape her. And if they do, it'll be her fault. That's what the headscarf is really all about. Putting one on a child is an act of sexual and mental abuse, and it ought to be against the law. Finally, let me just say that in the past, I've drawn some criticism for suggesting that Islamic culture is in some way inferior to Western culture just because it espouses values that I consider deeply uncivilized and barbaric. And this hasn't done anything for my reputation in what we might call the progressive community, which troubles me deeply, as you can probably imagine. So I'd like to take this opportunity to try and clarify those remarks, if I may. Of course, Islamic culture is not inferior. It's vastly inferior, and not just to Western culture, but to all cultures. Its values are an insult to humanity, all humanity, including Muslims, especially the female ones. There, I hope that helps to clarify any ambiguity.
Yes. That was, man, give this guy a medal. Give this guy a medal. Guys, I also have reports that Pakistan declares war on Afghanistan. Wow. Yeah. They're all Muslims. They're all fighting. They're all fighting. I think the only two, maybe Saudi Arabia, Egyptian. Oh, where did I have also notes? There were some airstrikes, some missiles in Dubai. Let's see, air defense interceptors in Dubai, and I think they've canceled all the flights in Dubai as well. Just trying to read all my scribbling notes here. Guys, Muslims command the spread of Islam across the world. That's their mission. That is what they're supposed to do according to their Muhammad. I can't agree with him more. Anybody with a sane intelligence would run from Islam because it's destructive. It's all about death. It's all about oppression. It's all about subjugating them. It's you either convert or you die, basically. I mean, look what's happening. Look in your corner. What's happening from Iran? We're back in the 70s. They came in. Actually, they came in, and when their numbers got a little bigger, guess what? They took over. That's what they do. That is what they do. So they came in. They were invited in. And then, boom, their numbers grew, and then they had a coup. And then they took over, and then they subjugated all the people that were there to practice. I guess they had to pretend or whatever they're doing. This is what they do. This is what they want to do in America, and we have to stop it. We have to stop it, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot let them get a foothold, and we've already been retarded about it. All these all these mosques in Texas, Dearborn. Now you got them in New York. We got to stop it. We need to say no. No. No more. No mas, baby. But this guy was incredible. I loved every bit of this. I loved it. He was dead on. He was dead on. All right, so now we're going to get to Dawkins, but I think we're going to let's see. It does have him here, his views on some other religions. I read this, and what I found was interesting. It doesn't have Christianity in this one, but he distinguishes between religions of the book of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, which he sees as faith-based, historically violent in Eastern traditions like Buddhism and Hinduism, which he sometimes reframes as philosophies or ethical systems rather than true religion. I agreed with that because what we got Confucius say, so it's more like a philosophy, ethical system, like, you know, be good to people, and this kind of thing. I thought that was very interesting. So we're going to jump right in with Harrison's thoughts on Islam, and then we'll go, I think the next one, I'm not sure if it's Hitchison or how I have them lined up. Where's Hitchison's, and then which one is Dawkins. Sam Harris is a neuroscientist, philosopher, and prominent atheist. Now, all three of these men I'm profiling are atheists, but their take on Islam is dead on. Is dead on. He has been a vocal critic of religion in general, but he has particularly focused on Islam as posing unique challenges in the modern world due to its doctrines and their real-world implications. In works like The End of Faith, 2004, and co-authored books such as Islam and the Future of Tolerance, 2015, with Majad Zawaz. Harris argues that religious beliefs, including those in Islam, are not merely private matters but can drive harmful behaviors from violence to the suppression of free speech. Well, we know what Islam does, don't we? His position himself is part of the new atheism movement, alongside figures like Richard Dawkins emphasizing evidence-based reasoning over faith. So this has kind of been a new thing, I guess, over a few decades, where these atheists, they're basing it, they're trying to find their answer in science, right? And a lot of atheists also are all about transhumanism, too. So the next evolution of man, or our evolution, would be the higher of consciousness in some kind of transhumanism way. Either we upload our consciousness or we just have biotechnology crap put on us, right? It's fascinating what these people talk about. Now, that's like, what? But yeah, I'm interested in it. I don't believe it. Guys, I am a Christian. Jesus Christ is the way. Harris maintains that his critiques target ideas and doctrines, not individuals. This is important. And he rejects the label of Islamophobia as a tool to stifle legitimate discussions. Like, I don't even think the word ever existed. They just created this. The left created this. However, his views have drawn accusations of bias and oversimplification from critics. And then we're going to look at a breakdown of his writings and podcasts and debates. Core criticism of Islam and doctrine. Harris views Islam as distinct from other religions. Its potential for inspiring violence and intolerance, arguing that it is all fringe and no center, with doctrines that, when taken literally, promote holy war and subjugation. This is absolutely correct. I mean, because this is what they do. Thank God that when we had the Crusades, we stomped them out. If y'all watched my video I did last week, where 500 soldiers, crusaders, defeated 26,000 Muslims. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. I left a companion video in the description that gives the complete history. And their leader was stricken with the Crusades leader. Forgive me, I can't think of his name. I don't have the notes in front of me. He had leprosy since he was young, and he was still young at the time, but he found the strength to get on his horse, and he fought with them. And of course, they were all Christians, and obviously God was on their side because it wasn't time for Islam to take over. Do I think Islam may take over in the future? Yes, possibly. Possibly. I mean, when we're supposed to be persecuted for our religion and they're going to want us to denounce Christ because either they're going to have some kind of one world order, one world religion, you'll have a false prophet, you're going to have a false Christ. They're going to want you to, whatever it is, religion that they create or whatever, and we're not. And then, they're going to be beheading us. But we all speculate on what religion does that. So a lot of people theorize, well, it could be the Muslims. I don't know. I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. Let's see. He highlights specific ideas such as jihad primarily as a holy war rather than just inner struggles, martyrdom, blasphemy, and apostasies it's directly linked to acts of terrorism and oppression. I mean, this is all their religion does. Now, I heard David Wood say, I don't know when it was, because actually I hadn't watched him in a day or two because there'd been other things going on I've had to take care of, but he said something to the effect like, even though a lot of people are gravitas to, I'm paraphrasing, to Islam, but once all they start figuring it out, they leave. So 5 come in, 4 leave, 1 stays, right? I mean, this is just a hypothetical math, but you get the idea of what he's saying. And that's pretty much it. Now, you've got God Logic, Aspiring Philosopher, Apostate Prophet, David Wood's Roadside Apologetics. These guys, every day, one of them is going live. And you got Jal and DOC. Almost every night, one of them are going live, and they're having call-ins from Muslims. Y'all need to check this out because I've learned a lot watching these shows. I say get your popcorn, get your beverage on, and any one of them. God Logic is really good too. So he'll have people calling in that are Muslims. Say he only takes Muslims. Now he'll have a topic, and he'll say, "Prove me wrong," or "Prove me why Islam is right." Why Muhammad is right. Whatever the title is of the debate, and he wants the Muslims to come in and prove him wrong. Prove that Islam's the way, Christianity isn't, or whatever. And they all get slaughtered every time. Boom, boom, boom. And the Lord is working through these men. And these men and women who were doing this every day. And I thought this a while back. I was like, God is using David Wood. I mean, I've learned so much from these guys that I would have never picked up a Quran. I would have never. I happened to stumble across Apostate Prophet and David Wood one night going through, and I was like, oh my God, these guys are funny. It's funny, it's educational, and I'm just learning so much, and wow. I was like, Lord, you are using these men because Islam's infecting America. So I can make the connection here that this is profound. That they have YouTube, you've got X, you've got TikTok, where they're able to reach people all over the planet. That like, wow, they're seeing what the Islamic dilemma is, and they're explaining it, like a 5th grader could understand it. Sorry, I had lack of words. And not to say that anybody has a low IQ or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But the way they're explaining it to where my little peon brain is picking up on what they are throwing down. So I recommend, if you need to continue to learn more about Islam, definitely I recommend all of those I had just mentioned. And even even Gad said, you need to be watching him. All of these guys, they know what they're talking about. They have no ulterior motive other than to get the word out that Islam is bad. Islam is bad for societies. And y'all need to watch Modern Day Debates as well, guys. Modern Day Debates has had some great debates this past week. That's why I haven't watched them, because I had watched one or two debates on Modern Day Debates on YouTube. So y'all need to check that out. Okay, let's get back, because we got just a few more things to do. For instance, he points out to the Quran, Hadith, and the life of Muhammad as a recipe for building a life that justifies conquest, with Muhammad portrayed as a warlord who won battles, unlike peaceful figures like Jesus or Buddha. I mean, this is insane. They're saying, I mean, if y'all ever listen to some Muslims tell you that Muhammad was the most peaceful and he never sinned, like he was a perfect man. No, he was a warlord. He's barbaric. He was a barbaric. And if you need to, please go look up the Al Zut, or maybe we'll go over it. I'll ask Grok to explain it, because I'm not articulate enough to explain it. Harris cites examples like the Islamic State's actions, taking you-know-what slaves, crucifixions, and burnings as totally plausible version of the faith, questioning what they got wrong about the religion. He argues that Islam focuses on the afterlife with rewards like paradise and 72 virgins with martyrs, which is retarded, makes death preferable to life for jihadists, leading to sincere beliefs that drive violence rather than mere psychopathological social economic factors. I mean, look, we Christians believe that we get a new body and we get a new name. If your book is is written in the book of life, Lord willing, you're written in the book of life, you're given a new body and a new name. There's not going to be no need for doing the wild thing. This is insane to me. Why would we need to be doing that? Why would we need to be procreating? Do I have all the answers of what's going to happen when we... No, nobody does, but we go by what the Bible tells us and we believe it with faith. Faithfully. That's what we do. That's what we do. In his view, the religious texts instruct believers to shun, revile, and rule over unbelievers, with no room for equal power shared or compromise. He has described Islam as especially belligerent and inimicable, if I could say that right, inimicable, to norms of civil discourse, representing a unique danger in the context of global conflicts like the war on terror. And inimicable is obstruct, or harm. Wow. Harris extends this to I can't even read or talk, right? Contemporary issues such as the rise of jihadism and its ties to anti-Semitism. I think Sam Harris is Jewish. He links Islamic theology to Jew hatred, citing Hadith passages where even trees and stones calling for killing Jews, making coexistence with Israel theology. Sorry, that word is anthema. Anthema. Something that dislikes is what it means. In discussions post-October 7th, 2023, Hamas attacks on Israel, he argues that groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran embody radical Islam's unyielding theocratic barbarism, and that military defeat is the only solution, as compromise is impossible. So what does that mean for us? That means we need to shut them down. Literally. We cannot let them spread. Because if y'all start going and learning in their hadiths and the Quran, in the Sunni book, they got like 7 different Qurans. They've got all of these writings, right? And they're all for conquering the world. So once they make nice, if their numbers are low, they make nice where they are. Just like I told you before, when they probably came into Iran, and then boom, they found their moment. They found their moment. And then they take over. It's a coup. They take over the government. This is what they do. This is what they're going to do. Look what they've done to Dearborn, Michigan. This is what they're going to try to do to America. And this is what they say they want to do to the European countries, to America, to Canada. This is what they want to do. They want to take over. They're going to make nice. They're going to play nice and be nice in your face because their God allows them to lie in your face. He warns that jihadist success, such as seceding Israel, would embolden global Islam, threatening open societies. Exactly. They want to dominate the world, guys. Now, Christianity goes out. We have all these missionaries. We have all of this stuff that's been going on for decades, Christian missionaries, but we don't go in there and subjugate them. We don't go in there and tell them, well, if you don't convert, we're going to chop your head off. No, we just say this is the word of Jesus Christ and he loves you. That's it. No, Islam wants to spread and subjugate because it's not a religion. It's like an ideology, an occult. I don't know how else to say it. Distinction between Muslims and Islam. Ooh. A central tenet of Harris's position is that criticizing Islam ideas do not equate to hatred of Muslims as people. He stressed that, did I already read all that? Yeah. Discredit certain doctrines inherit maybe I did. Okay, yeah, we're done. Good Lord. Okay, a central tenet, sorry about that, guys. I got to make sure I know where I'm at. Harris's position is that criticizing Islam ideas not equate to hatred of Muslims as people. He stresses that Islam is a set of beliefs, not a race, and that Muslims come from diverse ethnic backgrounds. So yeah, you got Somalians, you got these other Nigerians, the different countries in the Middle East, all the countries that are in Africa. They're all different backgrounds and races, but guess what? Islam comes in and subjugates them, and then they take over, and guess what? Then all of a sudden they're marrying each other's cousins because Muhammad's been doing it. They've been doing this for 1,400 years. So maybe this is a question on why they have low IQ, because over there, Middle East, continent of Africa, they have the lowest IQs on the planet. And I was watching a show yesterday, and they were talking about this. And one of them was saying that maybe food has a nourishment for the mind, and education could have lowered it. But even then, the other guy on the panel says, well, even if you took somebody out and they had food and they're here in America, it's only going to raise it maybe 10%. So let's say if their IQ was at 75, they're only going to get to 85% IQ. I thought that was fascinating. It was fascinating. I think it's all the inbreeding, and y'all can go and research that as well. He stresses that Islam is a set of beliefs, not a race, and that Muslims come from diverse and ethnic backgrounds. Honestly, criticizing the doctrine of Islam does not entail bigotry against Arabs or any other group of people, he writes, adding that it is not irrational fear to see violent fanatics as poor neighbors. I mean, you have people who proclaim they're Christians, and obviously they're not, but they do heinous things. But I don't think they're Christians. You can't say you're a Christian and then go out and do some cray-cray. I don't know. Unless you just were cray-cray and you took some drugs or somebody slipped you a Mickey. I don't know what to say about that. He acknowledges that most Muslims are peaceful, but attributes this to their disregard to certain doctrines rather than inherent moderation in their faith itself, similar to how Christianity was tempered by secular influences over centuries. Now, I could say from this, because of the dark times through the Catholic Church, I'm going to say it, I don't think the Catholics are Christians. Why do they have rosaries? They have imagery. They have pray to saints. They wear all this garb and do all of these ceremonies and just making a spectacle. I think it's making a spectacle. They would carry an image of Mary holding a baby through some of these things that they do. And their rituals or practices or whatever they do, and then you need to go and confess your sins to the priest or whatever they call them in the booth. And in the 14th century, 13th, 14th, or 15th century, Martin Luther came along and said, oh, no, you don't need the Catholic Church. Each individual person on the planet can have their own personal relationship with their Creator. It revolutionized everything. It caused a conflict. They were breaking out in war. So you could say the Catholics were maybe at the time were just as brutal as Islam is. Yeah, I could say that. You had the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, they were wanting to kill Martin Luther because he said this. So the church split. I mean, he was pissed at them. What were they doing? They were selling penance. What is happening? Now, I know they're not doing that anymore. I don't think they are. God, I hope not. Somebody let me know if you're a Catholic and you go. What are y'all doing? What are you doing? Are you tithing to the church so they can pray for your dead loved ones that hopefully they can get into heaven because maybe they're stuck in purgatory? I don't know, man. They got some cray-cray going on. But I would say it's not Christianity because Christianity basically started, right. I mean, the Catholics, I think they took it and they ran with it and built what they wanted to because it kept them in power. Nobody else could read the book. It was all about power structure with them. It was all about power structure. Let me know what y'all think about that. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of good, right? Like he's saying, there's probably good Muslims, but they're scared to probably say something and leave. But at least at the Catholics, if you go, oh man, this is kind of dopey, I can leave. I can leave. Now, apparently, if you're Scientology, man, they're going to stalk you, my guy. You better stay away from Scientology and stay away from Islam. Harris calls for moderate Muslims to disavow jihadism openly and criticize reflective defenses of co-religiousness even when they act violently. This is never going to happen. Because in their communities, women are scared. They're not. And even the men, because you will be stoned, cast out. Even here, they probably sneak about and do it. I've heard some stories about Dearborn, Michigan. I don't have any proof or anything, but they're saying, yeah, man, they had a daughter, but we haven't seen her in years. So either the daughter or the son or somebody in a family, this is in Dearborn, Michigan, maybe they wanted to leave the faith, and then something happened to them. Yep. I don't doubt it. Views on Islamophobia and reform. Harris dismisses Islamophobia as a pernicious meme and pure delusion and propaganda designed to conflate doctrine criticism with racism, thereby silencing debate. It's true, because it's retarded. Aren't we sick of being gaslighted on how just because you don't like the doctrine of this occult, that all of a sudden you're an Islamophobia? What's the difference of that as somebody saying, well, I don't have anything against Israel, but I got something against the way they're governing or whatever. Right? I mean, this I don't know if that's too much of an extreme of equating those two things, but I think we've all been gaslighted with the woke. They create words, they create buzzwords, and then it gets into our zeitgeist, basically. And then it becomes part of it. He argues there's no race of Muslims, unlike anti-Semitism, which targets Jews as heritage, and that the term ignores Islam convertibility. Yes, that's what it does. You know, I think I forgot to loop that video up at the top. My apologies. How lame is that? How lame is that? On reform, Harris is skeptical, suggesting it requires pretense where reformers must reinterpret doctrines like framing jihad as sole spiritual to make them palatable, pretending that the doctrine is something other than it is, which is true. They're like, you start listing all the things like those two gentlemen, Dawkins video we just watched, and then that other guy, that Britain guy, sorry, I forgot his name, Colin, something like that, where he lists all kinds of things. Like, once you've peeled that off, what's left? What's left? Once you've peeled off the jihad You've got to kill the Jews, kill the Americans, kill the infidels. What's left? What's left? Oh, it's a peaceful religion. It's peaceful. Wow. On reform, Harris skeptics suggest it requires pretense where reforms must reinterpret doctrines like framing jihad as solely spiritual to make them palatable, pretending the doctrine is something other than it is. This is so true. He questions if this can succeed long term, but sees how in a civil war of ideas within Islam, aided by Western military and culture pressures to marginalize the extreme. Yeah, we need to eradicate them and go, no, you're not going to subjugate anybody. You're not going to make young girls wear a hijab when she goes to school. You're not going to have child marriages. You're not going to do it, especially here in America. Criticism of Harris's views. Critics argue that Harris emphasizes on Islam's unique dangers, veers into Islamophobia, there's that word again, by essentializing the religion as inherently violent and ignoring internal diversities or non-theological factors like foreign policy grievances. His appeals to protect vulnerable groups in Muslim societies, women, homosexuals, are seen as invoking Western immoral superiority to justice, belligerence, echoing colonial attitudes. Now, this is what I have a problem with, is right here. So, if Muslims have a problem with homosexuals, then why is there all this boy dancing when they're kids and then they do this? I heard a guy, I guess he was on Piers Morgan's show. Was it? No, it wasn't Piers Morgan. Sorry. It was something else. This guy, I think he was a soldier, and I had saw it on X. Somebody posted his video. He's saying it's rampant. That the guys, that this is what they do. They do the nasty with each other, and the women are only used to procreate. It's insane. I was like, what? This is disgusting. So why are we getting this that, because they just can't openly walk around and be gay? They got to pretend they're manly, have a wife, but then they can do this nasty with the young boys and then marry young girls. It's insane. Some contend his atheism presupposes that only non-religious views are rational, masking biases and failing to engage with moderate Islamic interpretations. I'm reading this, and I don't care if he's an atheist. I mean, I do. I should pray for him, right? We should pray for him that he comes to Christ. But he's dead on. This guy is so smart, right? He's up there with the top thinkers of the 21st century. Even though I know it probably knocks off some of his IQ that he doesn't believe in Christ. Others note that while his focus on beliefs is understandably given events like 9/11, it overlooks trauma, education, socioeconomic context, and contribute to the extremism. Harris and supporters counter that such labels suppress needed critique. Let's see, Christopher. Man, this video is going on. We gotta hurry up. We're gonna hurry up. We're gonna get this done. Christopher Hitchison is a British American journalist, essayist, and polemist known for his atheism and contrarian views, was one of the four horsemen of the new atheism alongside Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, and Daniel Dennett in his 2007 book, God is Not Great. How religion poisons everything. It ruins everything, and lambasted all organized religions as sources of ignorance, division, and violence. But he reserved particularly sharp critiques for Islam, which he saw as an especially toxic, and absolved his faith of its modern manifestations. Hitchison, who died in 2011, he had cancer, y'all. It's too bad. Often framed his arguments as defensive of secularism, free speech, and Enlightenment values against what he called Islamofascism, a term he popularized post 9/11 to describe totalitarianism Islam ideologies. Wow, Islam fascism. I like it. He supported the Iraq War as necessary confrontation with this threat, viewing Saddam Hussein's regime as a secular variant of racism and intertwined with religious extremists. his core criticisms of Islam and his doctrine, Hitchenson's argued that Islam's foundational claims make it inherently intolerant and prone to violence, and highlighted its self-proclaimed status as the last and final revelation, with Muhammad as the perfect human and the Quran as the unalterable, flawless text. Concepts he's dismissed as questionable and not very peaceful. This is what Islam claims, that their book, which, gosh, I don't even know if we're going to be able to get to it. This is going really long. I have a whole thing on when, obviously, when Muhammad was around, and when was it written? Because the Quran, it was just spoken, right? They were just memorizing it, telling stories to people and this kind of thing. And then some of the writing was down, and then some of it did get wrote down, and then he dies, and then somehow they got together, I don't know what, 30 years between that span or whatever after his death. Then they started compiling stuff. And it said a goat ate some of the papers. I mean, it's retarded. I mean, the religion just sounds so ridiculous. I don't know how any intelligent person could look at the history of Muhammad, then actually start learning about the Quran and go, what the hell is this? This absolution is contended leads to heresy, hunts, skirmishes, and demands for universal submission, as the faith purports to be the world's only true religion with ambitions for global dominance. This is what they want. We talked about it earlier. This is what they want. They want world dominance. And debates such as his 2010 face-off with Taqi Ramadan on is Islam a religion of peace, which he argued it is not. Hitchison pointed to doctrines like jihad, apostasy, punishments, and the Prophet's life as a warlord to assert that Islam encourages conquest and subjugation rather than coexistence. Yeah, you can't coexist. They cannot coexist in a first world civilization with Christianity in the Western societies. It's just not going to happen. He described Sharia law as horrible idea of religious governance that exhibits suspicion towards church-state separation, often justifying practices like plural marriage, forced marriage, female genital mutilation, compulsory veiling, and censorship. Hitchison linked these to real-world harms such as suicidal bombings, public beheadings, and the suppression of women's rights, arguing that such violence stems directly from Islamic teachings rather than external factors, which is so true. He frequently cited historical contemporary examples like the Taliban's closure of girls' schools in Pakistan, Swat Valley, or the growth of Islamic extremism in this old London neighborhood, Londonstein, to illustrate Islam's belligerent nature and its incapability with secular freedoms. It's so true. And God is not great. He portrayed Islam as part of a broader religious poison that has led to horrendous atrocities, but emphasizes its unique dangers in the post 9/11 era, where he saw Islamist terrorism as a faucet threat akin to the 20th century totalitarianism. Reoccurring theme in Hitchison's critiques was Islam's alleged suppression of dissent. He lambasted UN revolutions against defamation of religion as attempts to protect ideas rather than people, shielding Islam for criticism while enabling human rights abuses. Bingo. There we go. There we go. So you had the grape gangs in the UK, which they kept quiet because guess what? If we didn't find out about it till a little bit after, because guess what? Over there, it would have been an eruption. It would have been an eruption of the people there finding out about what these people did to these young girls. It's insane. It's insane. And this is what the UN did. And I'm all for, what Christensen was correct on this, that we should point out the evils of their so-called religion, and it's more like an occult or an ideology than a religion. In his 2007 Slate essay, Why Are We So Scared of Offending Muslims? I need to read that book. He argued that fear of violence undergirds Muslims' demands for respect, citing threats against authors like Salman Rushdie and Danish cartoonist and others who faced fatwas or imitation for challenging Islamic claims. Oh yeah, so they were going to kill this guy. I remember when this happened. I was young. I think this was like back in the 80s. I remember, I don't know what, guys, I don't have the dates, but I do remember seeing and hearing them. My parents watched the news all the time. He rejected the term Islamophobia as a sinister tool to criminalize legitimate critique. Conflating hatred of Muslims with criticism of Islam is a distinction he insisted upon, noting that Islam is not a race, but a sect of ideas, open to scrutiny. Hitchison provocatively claimed he could discredit other holy books without legal persecution, like he could just totally demolish all the books. But the Quran's treatment often invites hate crime charges due to intimidation, as in a case where a student was arrested for discarding one. So he has a huge point here. It is retarded. Here in America, we have free speech. So if you want to say, man, we don't want nothing to do with your ideology. It's not even a religion. And then you're going to be in fear of being retaliated against and stuff in public. I'm glad there's a lot of Republicans coming out and they're having that, I guess it's a caucus to stop Sharia law. And the last I checked, they had over 40 members in this particular caucus. We need to do a show on it. Like Dawkins and Harris, Hitchenson's emphasized that he attacks targeted doctrines, not individuals. He acknowledged that many Muslims are peaceful and diverse, but argued that their moderation often comes despite the faith's text, not because of them. Well, I'm going to kind of backtrack on what they're all saying about kind of them. They're just brainwashed because they're going to go with the flow. They're not going to stand up against their imam, their dawah guys. They're not going to do it. They're scared. They're just not going to do it. So they're going to stick to their guns and they're going to stay. And as Muslim spreads, they're just going to keep quiet, even though maybe they could see that Americans, or I don't know how sheltered a lot of these women are, these men and women and children in these Islamic societies that they have established here in America. I think we need to find out about that. Are they getting to go to regular school? Are they having their own school? That's a good question. He expressed sympathy for those oppressed under Islamic regimes such as women and descendants, and criticized Western appeasement of extremists as a betrayal of liberal values. Hey, the liberals are all for it, my guy. Boy, Hitchison would be having a field day. I tell you what, Hitchison would be more of a conservative today. He would be outraged at the behavior of the libs at the State of the Union address. He'd be like, what, you're not going to stand for your own people? What, are you insane? I can only imagine what Hitchison would have said. He expressed sympathy for those under Islamic regimes. We've read that. In debates, he challenged the lack of centralized authority in Islam, noting that every Tom, Dick, and Harry can issue fatwas leading to unchecked radicalism. Hitchenson's blunt style drew accusations of Islamophobia and oversimplification from Muslim scholars and critics who argued he cherry-picked violent interpretations while ignoring Islam's contributions to ethics, science, and women's rights historical context. What women's rights are they? What? I think not. And you haven't done nothing for science. You have done nothing. I don't want to hear some BS that Muhammad split the moon. Earlier, Muslim women gaining divorce and property rights. I don't know about all that either. Some viewed his support for the Iraqi wars as warmongering and his atheism as rooted in personal rebellion against authority rather than objective analysts. Defenders, however, praised his courage in confronting religious extremes, with some eliminated his absence in current debates on global Islam. Well, I don't think he would say he's has courage. He'd say it's just logical. He'd be like Spock. He's like, this is just logical. I mean, I think this has been the problem also, is that we've had a lot of senators coming out and congressmen coming out and starting to say, Houston, I think we have a problem, and the problem is Islam. The problem is Islam. I mean, look at New York. They're already making people going to blow a stupid horn at 3 o'clock in the morning for them dummies to go and pray. It's retarded. All right, we're going to finish up this segment on the differentiation between what these three gentlemen, they're three atheists, what their views between Islam and Christianity. That's what I wanted to know. What is their distinct views? How are they differentiation of them? And we already know a lot of these answers. Which kind of society would you want to live in? Would you want to live in a society that is ruled by Islamists? Or would you want to be in a Christian society that you pretty much, Americans, if you're Americans watching me, free nations, if anybody around the world is watching this, which society would you want? Which would you choose? I think the choice is obvious. The choice is obvious. Let's see. So it's going to start with Richard Dawkins's poignant evolutionary biologist and an atheist critiques all religions as irrational delusions that hinge progress and promote division. But he explicitly, this is interesting, prefers Christianity over Islam. There we go. In a culture of moral terms, he describes Christianity as a fundamental, decent religion in its modern, moderate manifestation, appropriated as its culture's echoes and including cathedrals, hymns, and values like tolerance, while rejecting its supernatural claims as nonsense. So he doesn't believe Jesus rose from the dead and all this stuff. But even somebody who's intellectually intelligent, except for that flaw right there he has, but he could see the difference. This is where intelligence comes into play as well, or just free thinking or critical thinking for yourself. That Christianity is the best. It's the best. What has Christianity done for the world? What have we done as far as building the modern first world societies where the rest of the world copied us? And then we went and helped them. We went and assisted them. We certainly did. And if we are wiped out, I don't know. Guys, that's the problem with Islam too. There were countries that were doing well. There were countries in Africa that I watched the documentary on it about a week or so ago. I should have pulled it up. Guess what? The Europeans were there. They settled there. Or was that it? Okay, so they settled there. Forgive me because I don't remember what country it was, but it's just giving you the idea of what I'm talking about. They settled there. The whites were there for God knows how long. They created infrastructure, a society, and guess it was somewhere in Africa. So guess what happens? So the surrounding people, they hear things. So where do they go? They want to go to where there's what? Civilization, I guess. Opportunities. And what happened when they all started coming in? Because they weren't checked. They weren't vetted. They didn't have walls. These people just came in. And guess what? They ended up murdering all the whites, the white owners, the white whatever. A lot of them had to flee. And guess what's happening? Now that area is a crap hole because of Muslim extremists. They come in, they have low IQ, they're third world, they're marrying their cousins, they can't keep up an infrastructure. All they can do is loot, pillage. Loot and pillage like the Somalians. Dawkins identifies as a cultural Christian raised angelic but abandoned faith in his teens and argued that living in a Christian majority society is preferable to its secular freedoms, you think, and relative decency compared to the alternatives. Of course, duh. In contrast, he views Islam as the most evil religion today, citing its doctrines as hostile to women, rights, gay rights, and intellectual progress, pointing to fewer Nobel Prizes among Muslims as evidence of suppression. They're not because guess what? They think that if you're intelligent, you have a high IQ, you're going to become an atheist. Not all high IQ people are atheists. But this is what they think. They don't want modernization. That's why all the countries that they went and conquered, that the Europeans or the whites had went over and created a foundation of a society, but then they come in and destroy it, and they can't keep up with it because they don't want to. And another is they can't. He has stated that if forced to choose, he would pick Christianity every single time over Islam. Seeing the latter as a potential disaster, he decimated culturally. Dawkins equates the spread of early Islam to violence spread by the sword. Yes, while portraying Christianity's growth as less inherently aggressive, though he critiques both scriptures as barbaric. Critics argue his preference for Christianity reflects cultural bias rather than objective analysis. What? No. This is a good objective analysis. Hitchenson's views on between Christianity and Islam. Christopher Hitchenson is a jurist and polemist who died in 2011, viewed all religions as poisonous sources of ignorance, violence, and totalitarianism. As outlined in his book, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. Islam ruins everything. He critiqued Christianity and Islam indiscriminately as sky god religions, adapted through feudalism and absolutism, with both deriving from Judaism, calling Islam a plagiaristic, and Judaism and Christianity plagiarism. However, Hitchenson saw Islam as the most toxic form of religion in its modern expression, labeling it Islamophobic. Fascism posted 9/11 and supporting the Iraq War as a confirmation with the threat. He argued Islam doctrines such as Sharia, jihad, and suppression of free speech promotes intolerance and violence more avantly than contemporary Christianity, which he saw as somewhat tempered, though still harmful. Well, Christensen, you're disappointing me, my guy. Hitchenson's equated religious violence across faiths, but highlighted Islam uniquely liabilities in resisting reform and fostering extremism. Contrasting it with Christianity is historically evolutionary from literalism. He dismissed moderate interpretations of both as insignificant, arguing that even figures like Martin Luther King Jr. were not truly Christians if they ignored problematic doctrines. Good point. Unlike Dawkins, Hitchenson did not express a cultural preference for Christianity, focusing instead on both as equally flawed, but Islam is the more immediate danger. Critics noted his views sometimes overlooked non-theological factors in violence. Okay, we're going to wrap it up with Sam Harris, and we are out of here. Sam Harris, as a neuroscientist and philosopher, argues that all religions promote irrationality, harm, but he views Islam as uniquely dangerous in the contemporary world due to its doctrines' direct links to violence and intolerance and theocracy. He calls Islam the mother lode of bad ideas. Boy, that's true. With texts like the Quran and Hadith promoting jihad as holy war, martyrdom, and subjugation of non-believers, unlike Christians' core teachings from Jesus, which sees as more peaceful through still flawed. Harris attributes Christianity's related moderation to centuries of secular wallowing and collision with rationality, allowing it to coexist in open societies. While Islam resists reform and lacks such historical tempering, either you're this or you're nothing, or you die. It's crazy. That is Islam in a nutshell. It's either you're with us or you're against us. He notes that fundamentalist interpretations of Islam led to real-world consequences like terrorism, unlike other faiths, comparing it favorably to Jainism, Pafism, and criticizes modern Muslims for not fully disavowing extremism. Y'all are reading this with me, so if I get these words wrong, because I am retarded. Harrison sees no true moderate center in Islam, distinguishing it from Christianity's evolution, and views the faith as a war with the West. Critics accuse him of essentializing Islam and invoking Western superiority to justify, we are superior to them. Dawkins stands out of his explicit cultural preferences for Christianity as a bulwark against Islam, emphasizing decency and authenticity. Hitchison treats both as equally poisonous doctrinally, but highlights Islam's modern toxicity as a greater threat without favoring Christianity culturally. Harris focuses on doctrine and historical disparities, seeing Islam as inherently more belligerent today due to intempered fundamentalism, while Christianity has been moderated. All three distinguishes ideas from people, but their emphasis reflect varying priorities, culture, comfort, Dawkins, anti-totalitarianism, Hitchison's irrational security, and Harris. And there you have it. I hope that was some education going there for you guys. Because it was incredible.
I am not.
Incredible. I liked what he said, and I liked that other guy. Man, that other guy was just amazing. All right, his name is Pat Cadell. And he was my favorite. He was my favorite today. I mean, it was a 6-minute video. I did speed it up just a little bit so we could get through it because we're already an hour and a half into this video, but we had a lot to cover. I still had so much more in the stack of stuff to go over, but it's going to have to either be for another show. There's been a lot of amazing things going on today. Let's, God, pray for our soldiers to keep them safe while we're over there fighting the good fight. And we need to crush Islam. But let me know what you think about this guy. He was amazing. I loved everything he had to say. And then the left wants to say that he's a racist. He's a bigot. He's an Islamophobe because he's looking at it a view just like our three atheists. They're looking at doctrine. You have to, if you were in school and you were studying, I say you're studying religions, different religions of the world, and then you're reading all of this stuff, and you're like, my God. You start learning not just what the Dawa guy told you or what the Imam told you, or maybe the girls aren't allowed. I think I saw something like some of them can't, they stop them from being at school in these other countries at a certain age, probably so they don't realize the truth. And what is the truth? That you're oppressed. And there's a better way. And that better way is Jesus Christ. And they certainly don't want you knowing about that. But they want to claim, and I heard a lot of this past week, a little more than I've heard before watching my guys, because I've been watching David Wood, Apologetic Roadshow, and them for, I guess, almost 2 years now. I've been watching them. It just came to me to, I don't know if it's from the Lord or just my own thoughts or whatever, how we're steered in certain paths, whatever, how you want to call it. But I felt like I needed to address these things. I was like, Lord, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need some help doing it because I am not educated on this. So I figured I always end the show with the learning never stops. So we're going to learn this together with what knowledge we can continue to gather from learning this information with the Lord, with His blessing, and to get this word out. If we can stop Islam and let people know if they're thinking about joining Islam, they really need to start studying and really deep dive and look into these things. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, share, subscribe. And I don't know what there's not to like. Maybe it's my face, my voice, which I can totally agree with that. But let me know what you think about all the stuff we went over in the how the three atheists. What did you think about their takes? I really enjoyed their takes on it. Like I said, I admire Hitchison. I don't know how much I care for Sam or for Dawkins, but I don't know what it is. But Hitchison, I've always admired him. I mean, for years, listening to him talk and listening to, and I hope maybe while he was laying on his deathbed, he gave his life to Jesus. That's the only thing I could hope for that for him, because I really had a lot of respect for him, and I kind of feel bad that he didn't come to the conclusion. C.S. Lewis is another intelligent man. He came to the conclusion Christ is the answer, is the way. It's amazing. It's amazing when you see these intelligent people, they come out and then they say it. They're like, yeah, this is the way. And then what do we get? We get The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I do recommend you reading that book. But anyway, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, the learning never stops no matter how old you are. And always remember, never, ever, 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 ever be, which I'm guilty of it all the time,